Well, good morning, ladies. We're gathered here together. I'm sorry, I'm not doing the wedding. But we're meeting this morning because we're talking about something that's dear to all of our hearts, and we want to share the All Souls Weekend's information. And I thought it'd be a good idea to bring the founding, I'd say founding fathers, founding mothers of this, and to talk about what it is, who's going to be there, which I think is the real draw, because I've interviewed half the people that are going to be presenters already. I did Marla, and I did Susan, Pat Longo tomorrow, and I did Sheri Jewel, and I mean, Joe, all these people, which people are now learning who they are that didn't know before. Wonderful group. And my only question to you before we start is, you got all this beautiful feminine energy there, and then you invite the old warrior. I'm going, you guys are changing it up this year, so I'll try to behave and be good, but it's like we changed the mix. All right.
Love it.
Whose idea was this? When did it start? What is its purpose? Where are we going with this?
Go for it, Amy.
Oh, thanks, Jen. Well, thanks so much for having us, Bill. We're so excited and honored to join you today. Let's see, where did it start? The first thing that comes to mind for me is, Jen and I like to say we are soul sisters, and we've been friends since, I think, 2008. So let's see, we'll do the math there. But Jen and I, we come from similar backgrounds when it comes to our spirituality. We have different professional backgrounds, but we both experienced loss in our lives, and Jen lost her dad, and I lost my dear best friend when she was 24 years old. And so Jen and I just shared so much in common on a spiritual level. And one day we were sitting in her living room, and Jen drew a card. I think you gave me that deck of cards, the Oracle cards, Jen, right?
Yeah, these Oracle, Wisdom of the Oracle angel cards. We're just kind of chatting, right? And we're just pulling a card and talking about how can we come together and share some of these stories that are so inspiring, right, with other people.
Yeah, so we drew the card and said, we've been talking about doing a retreat together. And Jen had been interviewing psychics and mediums as a part of her work. I did events in my professional background, more like inspirational events, that type of thing. But like I said, we shared something very much in common when it came to our spirituality and wanting to expand our spiritual consciousness. And then our intention was to really share that with others, bring together a group of like-minded people for the purpose of healing, growing, learning, and a twist of having some fun, at the end. So Jen draws this card and it says exchanging gifts. And so we knew, light bulb, we'd been talking about, let's do this retreat. And we just said, you know what, let's bring our gifts together and let's just do this thing. And so we both have had homes growing up in Lake Geneva, Wisconsin. It's a super special place in our hearts and souls. And we knew that was the place for us. So there it began, I believe, in 2018. So
6 years going. And I don't know if you remember this, Amy, but then you took the deck, shuffled them up, like, okay, ask the same question. And you got exchanging gifts. We got it 2 times back to back.
Yes,
and we were like,
that's so important.
And that's it. It's like, okay. So again, we both believe that signs from the other side, that we call them God winks or angel winks, are there if you're open to them. And it all starts with opening your heart to the possibility that this isn't everything. Right here, right now, what we're experiencing in this third dimension, isn't it? It's not it. And you know this, Bill, from your experiences on the other side. And literally, that's what I've spent all this time interviewing, people who have died and come back. And as a journalist, I got a lot of flack for that, but I'm like, there's more to life than what we know. So let's find out and get more information, because if we stopped asking questions, we'd still be smoking on airplanes. We'd still think the world was flat, so we have to ask questions. And so we brought people together. That was 6 years ago. We had to take some time off with the pandemic, but it's just grown to be bigger and bigger, not too big though. And Amy and I have always been in alignment on this. We don't want this to be some 1,000-person event where you're wearing a lanyard and you're like, I think
Yeah.
that's the speaker up there. No, we want to be around a fire, talking campfire stories type thing, but also coming together in a room that has many speakers from many different walks of life, which is why, Bill, after I interviewed you for my podcast, I called Amy right away and I said, we have got to get Bill's energy. It's all about loving thyself and healing those wounds within, which is everything. Because if you don't love yourself, you have nothing to give. If you don't fill your cup, you have nothing to share. And people forget that. We've got that model flipped, don't we?
Can't give what you don't have, right?
That's right.
If you don't love yourself, if you don't start there, if you can't forgive, I find that people don't even forgive themselves. They can forgive anybody in the world, their parents that beat them, all kinds of stuff, the guy that killed some. But when it comes to themselves, people think that I knew better than that. I shouldn't have did that. And so
Right.
God can forgive them, but they're better than God because they can't forgive themselves. So it's always kind of strange how that happens. So
Yeah.
tell me about the people coming there. I know about some of them because I've interviewed them and we'll be posting those. So let's start with Gail Alexander. Okay, where'd you find? What's the story of all these people? How you got?
Yeah, it's a mix. I always say it's kind of like the island of misfit toys, from that Christmas thing. We get them all in one place and have fun and let them loose on the crowd. But Gail's an intuitive that you found, Amy. How did you find Gail?
That's right. And that's what's so great about this, circle, this tribe, is that, everybody's connected in some 6 degrees of separation, more like 2 degrees of separation kind of thing. But my cousins who have been coming since day one, 3 fabulous sisters and some of their friends, they were connected with Gail. And so I think it was about our 3rd year. It was definitely after the pandemic. Gail's been with us now. This will be her 3rd year. And they just said, we know a wonderful intuitive, and she's so gifted and talented, and you just have to meet her. You just have to meet her. And that's always, music to Jen and my ears when we hear something like that. We're like, we get it. You just have to meet her or him. Enough said, I'm sold. And so we got to know Gail, and so she has been coming to the conference, and she does something really interesting for the group. Typically it's on a Sunday morning, but she just does a rapid fire reading for the group, and just one quick card. I think when she read like 100 people last year on a Sunday, boom, boom, boom. And she's great. She's also a psychotherapist as part of her background. So I think that's a really interesting, unique twist and perspective. And we're delighted to have her again.
You know what I love too about Gail, and you'll appreciate this, Bill, is that she, with sacred geometry, she creates these like mandalas, like these beautiful, gorgeous, and just looking at them, I think what people forget is that everything is frequency. I mean, literally every emotion has a frequency. This really isn't woo-woo, it's Morse code. So what are we putting out there with our Morse code? What are we vibrating? What are we pulsating? And whatever we're putting out there is coming back, because it's just a match of the frequency. So that's really what manifesting is. We've done different themes in the conference about how to manifest. And it's not like, oh, I want that car, I want that house. It's like, what are the people you're bringing in, the frequencies that you're bringing in? And so looking at some of Gail's designs is so soothing that then in and of itself will soothe your frequency. So whatever it takes. Right, Bill? I mean, how do you recommend people kind of emanate that frequency of love? It's hard work, especially if you haven't healed your, thyself, as we say.
Yeah, you almost have to be childlike. It's like a dog is a good example. No matter what you do to a dog, it loves you when you come home, right? It just and Jan, you just lost a member of your family, your own dog, and so my heart goes out to you. But it's like, a dog is the most loving and forgiving example that God has ever given us.
Yes.
Never judge. Okay. You got Sheri Jewel, you got Pat Longo. Tell me about the rest of these guests that are coming, or presenters.
Yeah. Oh my gosh. Pat Longo, such a powerhouse. And actually, Sheri Jewel is the reason we know Pat Longo. So this is one of those examples. Sheri Jewel is a reluctant medium, I call her, because she was in her mid-40s and all of a sudden she's hearing things clairaudiently, like whispers in her ear. Go to the vet, go pick up da-da-da, call Joe, call this, and she's like, what the? She's in the line at carpool hearing stuff in her ears, and she thought she was going a little crazy, vivid dreams. I always like those stories because it's like, it's never too late. And this can happen to anyone. you can be opening up your third eye, if you will, and messages can come in. If you're ready to receive and be a messenger, then God, universe, source will use you because that's your intention. And so that's Sheri Jewel. She's been with us since the beginning, doing a Friday night kind of gallery. And she cracks me up. We got to tell her to keep it PG because,
Yes.
Yeah. And she actually emailed. So she actually sent a note to Pat Longo directly and just said, you need to know Jen Weigel. And the next thing you know, I'm interviewing Pat for the podcast and I'm telling Amy, and then Pat's flying in. And she teaches people how to open their intuitive gifts. Her best-selling book is The Gifts Beneath Your Anxiety. And she sees people that think they're just debilitated with anxiety. And then next thing you know, she's 4'8". So I joke that she's Yoda. She's Yoda for these people because she just, she teaches them and she's wise. And, she goes through the room doing these healing, and her students, and this is a true story, as God is my witness, have witnessed, and the videos have shown, I don't know if you've seen these, Bill, angel wings, literally, she holds her arms out and she's healing the room. And there are shadows of wings that were not there before on the wall behind her. People literally see wings. This is just like so mind-blowing. And as me, again, the journalist wants a source where you're like, wait, what? And I've seen these videos and I've met Pat, and there's nobody more honest. I mean, what was your experience, Amy, when you first met Pat?
Yeah, I totally just agree with you as far as her healing energy, aura. And when you mentioned that about the wings, there's just really something about Pat that just, I just felt, calm being in her presence. People come back every year to see Pat. She's done amazing work in miracles. I loved her, and I love it that she's just a little spitfire too.
Oh, I know. And she's from Long Island. There's something in the water in Long Island.
Well, that's that whole Long Island connection.
Yes.
With Pat Longo and who's at the medium of Long Island medium.
Yeah, the Long Island medium. She actually
all these people are kind of connected.
Yeah. She taught and helped Teresa Caputo get her start. And so, and a lot of times, a lot of people have the wrong. I mean, like, this isn't a drive-through deli, right? And that's the thing. And I feel like TV has commercialized this to the point of campiness, where it doesn't respect what's happening. And what Amy and I really try to do with this gathering, and it's the first weekend in November every year, because that's the All Souls Day, right after Valentine's Day. It was traditionally over thousands of years this time when people would gather to honor the souls of their loved ones on the other side. And that's kind of where we started. Like Amy mentioned, she lost Patty, I lost my dad, and I never would have believed in any of this stuff ever in my journalism life, ever. I mean, I just thank you very much. I'll take my coffee, I'll go to work, and at the end of the day, don't talk to me about talking to the other side. That's just weird. Until it happens to you. And suddenly you're getting these messages and you're going, wait, maybe there's something to this. Maybe there really is. So Pat Longo was living her life. 17 grandkids later, now she's teaching people how to work with their intuitive toolbox, but she's as regular as you and I. And she's literally, she says that it didn't happen until she started taking care of herself. Again, it goes back to self-love. She decided to take bowling lessons and tap dancing lessons and stop doing carpool for everybody and everything else. And the moment she filled up her cup is when her vibration went up and the gifts came flowing in. She took one Reiki class and the rest is history. And so Amy and I try to tell people that at the conference, like, you too could decide that you want to open this toolbox and use it, even if it's just with your day-to-day. It's not about getting in front of a stage of 5,000 people. It's about how you show up in your house, how you show up to your spouse, how you show up to your parents and your children and your coworkers. That's what's more important. It's not about being famous. It's about being present and healing yourself first.
Wow.
And what I love about that, Jen, is what we hear from so many of our conference attendees when they leave. Mm-hmm. They say, what was said is exactly what I needed to hear. And, through the different speakers, through the friend they meet at their table, it's like, you have that intention to take care of yourself, and people, they come, they reserve that weekend for themselves. It's never easy for some to get away, but they make that commitment for themselves. And it's like, boom, the portal just opens up, and some real profound healing and inspiration and connections are made.
Yeah.
Well, I'll tell you, I was impressed when I did an interview with Susan Rowlen. Is that her last name, Rowlen? She charmed my socks off, and I don't even wear socks, I'm out here in California, and I'm going, wow, there's a power in her. And again, it's about frequencies, you vibrate with certain people, but her frequency is like a tuning fork. And it's like, it's vibrating. I'm talking to her, and she's not even aware of it. She's just like, she's not pushing it. It's not make believe. It's not showbiz. It's not PR. It's not, it was just her soft. That's it. It was a soft energy. It was a soft vibration. And I really felt comfortable interviewing her, and she made me feel good interviewing her. It's like, well, thank you for interviewing me. It was really kind of nice.
And Susan doesn't have a book, and she doesn't have a TV show, and she's not out there trying to be the next, Long Island medium. She's doing her thing, and she's from the Chicago area and now lives in Arizona half time. But tell the story, Amy, of when, so I had done this event where I interviewed Susan on the stage, and then she did some, readings of the crowd. And like you said, she's a force. So she comes down the stairs, and just like bang, bang, bang. But then you were saying hello to her, Aim, after it was over. And what happened?
Yes. Thanks, Jen. So it happened to be my friend Patty who had passed her birthday. So it was November 19th. I had seen Patty's mom that day, as we do every single year. Patty's been gone now 29 years. And so I had seen Patty's mom in the morning. I brought her sunflowers. This is our thing that we do, because Patty's flower was a sunflower. And she gave me sunflowers. So Jen said, Susan's going to be at the Wilmette Theater tonight. We had not yet decided or knew if she was going to speak at All Souls. And she said, I really think you should come. And I was tired from the day, and I was, way on the other side of town. She's like, no, I really think you should come. And I said, okay, I'll come. And so after the show, it was wonderful, great interview with Susan. And I was just blown away. And I just marched right up to Susan. I just wanted to give her a big hug. Like you're saying, Bill, she just has this, wonderful, inviting, bright energy. And so
it's a friend energy. It's like, I'm your friend. You don't have to, I'm giving you my friendship. It was that kind of energy.
Absolutely. Yeah, exactly. So speaking of friend, it's so interesting. Yeah, that you'd say that, because here I am, really thinking about my best friend who had passed, and I connect with her on the other side all the time. So anyway, like I said, my friend Patty, my sign for Patty is the sunflower. And as a matter of fact, before Patty passed, we said to each other, I know you be the sunflower and I'll be the rose. And that way, when one of us sees the sunflower or the rose, we know it's the sign of the other. So lo and behold, I go up to Susan. Susan, so wonderful to meet you finally in person. And she said, oh, it's such a pleasure to meet you too. And we're talking like, you need to be at All Souls this year. And she stood back and she said, oh my gosh, you have this giant sunflower in front of you. What does this mean? And I was like, oh my gosh. Yeah, I've got goosebumps all over right now.
Yeah.
So yeah, that was that story. Yeah.
And I remember you came right up to me. You're like, you're not going to believe what she said.
Yeah.
It's just one of those. I have goosebumps now. And so
all over. Yeah.
That's the kind of stuff where it's like these little things. And I mean, look, you come from you have a religious core too, Bill. I mean, you're a preacher, and if I had $1 for every email I get from people telling me I'm going to hell for having these conversations. It's just
I get that, and I'm a preacher. I get that just by saying there's only one God.
Right.
And that my God. What do you mean? Buddha? Yeah, Buddha's okay. Yeah, Krishna. No, oh my God. I mean, it's like,
right.
Here you say that we're all one.
And so that's what this divide. I mean, for anyone to say that this message of love is somewhat satanic, I'm praying for a sign for my dog, who, as you mentioned, Bill, the most unconditionally loving thing. And I'm just bawling in the car, missing her energy, feeling so horrible and sad that she was in pain, but knowing she's out of pain. And I'm like, Luna, show me a sign. And this car pulls up next to me that says, love a dog, LUVA dog. Okay. How could you say that's from a source of evil? That is pure love. That is letting you know that they're okay. And so for anybody that judges this experience, I understand there are charlatans out there. There are people that don't have the right intentions. And I have been, unfortunately, exposed to them. I have been snowed by them, but that's why it's so important to have a GPS, like a great BS detector. And we won't do anything with anybody. Amy and I won't have anybody at All Souls that we know hasn't passed the BS test. Sure, everybody's got their stuff and not everybody's perfect, right? You know, personalities might be different or whatever. But as far as the intention, if your intention is to heal others with the work that you do, then you can play in our playground, not to make, you know, the world a famous place for you with a billboard with your face on it. That's not what it's about.
Speaking of healing people, and I don't think Joe's really aware, Joe McQuillen, is that his last name?
Yes, yes.
I interviewed him and he lost his son, which was kind of the starting place for him on this. But he has become like a life preserver for other people who have lost children. He's kind of like the Piper.
Yes.
And I'm listening to him, and he's more concerned about helping these other people than, of course, it's helping him as well, but it's going hand in hand.
Yeah.
A beautiful man. And I was glad that you invited. I was looking like the only male energy there. And I did Joe, and I go, oh, Joe's a manly man. I mean, he's really pretty good, but a soft touch.
Yeah, we have had other dudes before, just so you know, Bill. There was Jeff O'Driscoll a couple years ago, Dr. Jeff, who an ER physician for 25 years, who could see both sides of the veil. John St. Augustine, a wonderful author who's had 2 near-death experiences. I mean, I think it's just important to find people from different walks of life, right, Amy, who have had different experiences, and unfortunately, sometimes it's a significant loss. I mean, a near death or something that rattles the wiring and creates this ultra spidey sense, if you will. We don't like it to be that, but for me, that was definitely the case. I know for Amy it was, I believe it was for you too, Bill. Some people, sure, they're just born with this incredible sixth sense, and it's like, oh, okay, great, cool for you. A lot of us have to go through the Cuisinart to get.
The thing is, people go, they just don't, you're born it, but you had previous, I believe you had previous lifetimes. So it may have been thousands or millions of years to get to this point. It's not things ever, oh, it just happens now. Even though you think you're happening just now, but basically that process has been unfolding for a long time. And it's just this point in your life that you're ready for it. That's all.
Absolutely. And like you said, Amy, when you decide to choose yourself and do a little something for yourself, just like Pat Longo took those classes, that's when the miracles show up, because you're making a statement. You're making a statement to the universe and to God that you matter, and that if God loves you unconditionally, you need to love you unconditionally, and give yourself the same respect that the light gives you, right? The divine is giving you every moment of every day. Because being born in and of itself, with all the millions of possible, you know, even when you're, it's a crapshoot which soul is going to be incarnated, right? This is an honor to be here. And if we blow it, I say all the time, I'm not coming back. I don't want to learn this lesson again. Because if we don't face the lessons that show up for us, we just have to come back in another costume in another lifetime to relearn them all over again. Because that's what it's about. It's about learning. It's not about being served. It's about serving others, and then you're served. At least that's the memo I've been getting lately. And it took me decades to figure that out. But now that I figured that out, I'm like, okay, guys, I don't want to have to relearn the syllabus. It's really freaking hard. I don't want to take the SATs again. Let's do this.
Let's face facts. An Earth lifetime is difficult at best. Some people say it's like hell. Maybe so. But this is a real testing ground. This is where you truly earn your wings, and the trials and tribulations that you go through. If you're born, that means and you're going to die. And it also means there's all this pain and suffering in between. I haven't met anybody that hasn't had some form of pain and suffering in their life. I've met nobody. So it's not like, well, why me? Why am I going? It's everybody. Come on. That's just, when you're born, that's what you signed up for. That's the voyage, you know.
Life experience, which is why, as you're both talking, I'm thinking, you know, what I love what Joe McQuillen has done with with his greatest pain and challenge. And he has taken that grief, that pain, and channeled it into a way to create healing for others. And he's such a gifted speaker. He speaks straight from the heart. And I remember when he first spoke, which was probably our second All Souls, Jen, I think. And just even those who had not experienced such a loss as losing a child, were just like, just so moved. And, you look at this man who is every single day putting one foot in front of the other and talking about the hard work it is to go through such a loss and grief. And I think those lessons are just universal because we've, like you said, we've all been through, this is life. This is what happens. We go through pain and hardship. So yeah, it's great. Joe brings so much to the table, not just for those who have lost a child or a parent, but just sharing those universal lessons.
So let me get kind of a picture of what happens here at this retreat, because spiritual retreats, I'm from California, spiritual retreats are all over the place. I mean, they're just like, and they could be people with drums and people chanting and people doing yoga. I mean, it's all over. It could be anything. Mm-hmm. I'm looking at the pictures from your past groupings and stuff. It looks like this is a gathering of souls more than being entertained. It's like the people actually coming, the actual audience looks like they're engaged with each other.
Totally. Nailed it. Yeah.
That's exactly right. Because like I said, we don't want 5,000 people so that nobody feels like they're making a connection with the speakers. In fact, the speakers wind up, like even last year, Pam Grout, best-selling author of E Squared and E Cubed, and she's a riot. And she wanted to sit and watch all the other speakers. We give everybody the opportunity. You can go and you can see people one-on-one and see clients, and whatever you want to do, or you can sit and absorb the lessons of the others. And Pam just wanted to sit there, watch all the speakers. And then when it came time for her to do her presentation, which she had said she was going to do, she's like, can we just go up there and talk? It's like literally like, I just want to have a conversation. I said, absolutely. So we just talked, and it was so, she just threw the schedule out the window and was present in the moment with the energy and the frequency in the room. And then the people could ask questions and go up, and everybody's accessible. It's just, it's different. That's why I think it's been so successful, is because we set that intention to make it intimate. Even throughout it, it's like, we're not live streaming it to the UK or whatever, we're making this so if you're there, you're absorbing it, and that's special. And you can't copy it. There's no copying what happens, because it's always off the cuff, intuitive, and with the intention of healing. It's always different. But it's
so when people attending this, the first couple of days at least, the presenters are mixing and talking to these people. Everything's kind of opened up and people can see and talk to whoever they want to. Is that pretty much the agenda? It's pretty much open to people to participate in individual conversations.
Well, we do have, so there's a structure. So we have, Friday night is Sheri. She'll do what's called a gallery reading. So she'll do random readings for the audience. We typically kick off, but we're so excited. You're going to kick us off with your program on Friday afternoon.
You guys are brave.
No, this is going to be a great highlight. We're super excited about that. But we typically start off Friday night, and we do s'mores by the fire for those who arrive Friday evening. And that's just a nice way for people just to, get comfortable and get to know each other a little bit. We do a gallery reading with Sheri. We start our day then on Saturday about 9. Jen and I do a welcome. And then we start our speakers, our programming. So there is, people do a 45-minute hour presentation. Maybe there's some Q&A, or maybe if somebody's an intuitive, they're going to do some readings. But we do, like Jen said, there's a real intention to foster and create a sense of intimacy and connection, so that people feel like, oh yeah, I talked to you and so and make connections. And so, people sit at tables of 10. We try to mix it up. Don't sit with your friends, get to know each other. We have a nice lunch. We do programming. We do then a break. Sometimes we do an activity where we do something like, let's get rid of something that no longer serves us. We'll go over to the bonfire, throw something out. And then we say, after the end of the day, join us for dinner. We also make sure that nobody feels, who may have come by themselves, that they're alone. So anyone who is traveling alone, We ask them to let us know so they can join our different groups for dinner. And then we say, come and put your dancing shoes on, and we're going to be in the lounge, and we're all going to have, a great time and dance and relax. And that usually ends up being a long nighter for some. And everybody kind of rolls in Sunday morning, like morning, and we have a nice breakfast and a couple other speakers. And that's pretty much how the agenda goes on. Oh, I should say too, in between the conference, so we will have, our speakers who are also intuitives, mediums, and we'll have 5 to 6 different mediums, intuitives that folks can sign up for in between. So you can go get your reading maybe 2 to 2:30. We have the agenda there. So people are kind of getting the full package. You get great programming, you can see a psychic or intuitive, and you're going to meet some new best friends while you're at it.
I'm remembering now as you're saying this, Amy, last year, this woman, Anna, wonderful lady, came and she decided to treat herself. She was going through a divorce and she treated herself to come. And, now she's like this life coach. And it was like it kickstarted her choosing her path and making it her, it was okay to choose herself, right? And to meet these people and to travel to a place she's never traveled before and be like, oh my gosh. And this other woman sent me a lovely note where she was saying that she didn't think she was going to go. And then she decided to come. And she was with her best friend growing up. And she was really torn about it because she had a sick family member. And then what happened is she got some terrible news about that family member. And she got the call. She did end up having to leave early. But because she was with her best friend in a place that was so nurturing, it helped her handle that news in a way she wouldn't have been able to handle it before. So in the whole surrender that you are where you're supposed to be in every moment when you deal in. And she was just like, that was such a great lesson. The universe knew that she was going to get this message. God knew she was going to get this message, but they wanted her surrounded in a cocoon of love so that it was okay for her to absorb that news. And again, I tell people, if you wake up and say, show me the next steps for my highest good and the highest good of all involved, that's an important little addendum. The highest good of all involved, not just me, but all, because the bigger picture, they've got a macro view. We're micro right down here and we think everything is so personal, but when we realize how fabulous it looks from way up high, we can get a little bit into trust, which of course is right there with faith. But so many people have fear and that blocks the faith. When you're filled with fear, you can't absorb the faith. You can't absorb the trust. You can't absorb the love, because fear and love, they are different frequencies, right? As we talked about frequency, they can't coexist. They are not on the same floor. They're not even in the same building. So which one are you going to embrace? And it's hard, believe me. I'm saying what I most need to remember. For sure.
We always.
Yes.
All right, so we got all kinds of, we just talked about a couple of the presenters, but you got Heather Sprigg, you got Valerie, what's her name?
Gangas.
Gangas.
Yep.
And Michelle Rebeck.
Yes.
We've already talked about Gail. You got Marla Frees. And of course, you got that Reverend Bill guy. He's coming off California.
Yes, Bill, tell us about you, please.
Oh,
I want to hear what you
Okay.
What are you going to present, Bill?
plan to share.
Well, you know what? Here's the scary part about it. I never prepare anything for, I don't care if it's IONS International Conference, I was a keynote speaker, and they're getting ready to, 5 minutes before I'm going on, they go, well, here's what you're going to do, right? You're going to talk about this near death. And I go, I don't know. You don't know, because all their other speakers have been practicing, in their hotel rooms, and 6 months, they've been practicing, and they've wrote them and they're scripted and they got overheads. And I'm going, well, I don't know what my audience is till I get out there. So I go out there, which kind of scares people when they bring you in to be a keynote speaker. I go up there, and of course I'm barefoot on the stage. I never wear shoes, but I walk out there, and everybody expects you when you're doing a presentation to just start talking, right? I don't. I sit there and I'll scan 400 or 500 people, whatever amount of people are there, and then when I get to feel the audience, then in my mind I'm kind of watching me and say, okay, what are you going to say? And then I just start rolling. And then I don't know what I said when I'm done. When I see the film, I go, yeah, I guess I said that. But it's like, if you come with something prepared, that's for a general audience. It's not necessarily the people that are at that audience. That's why my workshops are always different. I mean, they're all different. There's basics, structure. but they're all different. And stories I choose to share are different. And the energy is different. So what I'm going to be doing a healing workshop, and I'm talking about self-healing, because I always advertise this because I'm telling people out there, and I don't want to step on any toes of anybody, but I think if you talk to other healers, they'll admit this is true. All healing is self-healing. I mean, if you believe in a doctor, it's your belief that's going to heal you. If you believe in the medicine, if you believe in the shaman, if you believe in the healer, if you believe in, chiropractor, whatever it is, what you believe in is a very strong thing. And people go, oh, it's just placebo effect. And I go, yeah, that's a very powerful thing. Give me a sugar pill and I'm going to cure myself. Why? Because it's you. You are the healer. And you can't heal anybody that doesn't want to be healed. They can't believe they could be healed. They're right.
Right.
They can believe they're going to be healed regardless of whatever happens. They're right. So my job when I do a workshop, and I call it self-healing workshop, because I don't want people going around thinking, I'm a healer. I facilitate. I'm like, you go into a good restaurant and you order this meal, and it's a fantastic meal. You're eating this thing, and the waiter comes and you want to hug the waiter and go, oh, it's the greatest thing. And I go, no. I didn't cook it. I didn't grow it. I just served it to you. And it's the same thing with the healing. There's only one source for the healing, from the one. And the one is within us, and we are the one. And when you start thinking of things outside of you, like the healer, the teacher, the guru, whatever, it's outside of you, then you're separate. You separate yourself from the source. You are, the source is within you. It's all one. So I spend 3 hours or 4 hours, depending on what group I have. And my job is to change their frequency and their energy as I'm talking to them. Not obvious. It's just, through stories and through moving energy and things. But when they reach a point, then I'm ready to do some hands-on. And I do hands-on to charge their batteries, because I believe that everybody has the potentiality to have this in them. And people, through misuse of their energy. In other words, not a sin, eating red meat, pork, not a sin. It's just not good for your energy. Mm-hmm. Doing beer and wine and cigarettes and marijuana and ayahuasca and mushrooms, not a sin. It's just bad for your energy. So I'm just talking about energy. It's not about judgments. It's just energy. You want a higher frequency, then you become more of a vegetarian. You become more loving. You become more compassionate. You live a life that reflects that inside compassion that we all have someplace. So I teach people that. So at the end of the thing, hopefully, after listening to my stories of healing and stuff, they're ready. And I'm averaging about 6 instantaneous healings at these events that I do.
Awesome.
And sometimes it's obvious, and sometimes it's a week or 2 later I get a message. Usually it's a lot of messages. I mean, when people have canceled surgeries and everything else, but I emphasize the body grows old, it's going to die anyway. Well, how did he die? Oh, he was perfectly healthy, but he died anyway. All right. So healthy body doesn't mean anything, because you're going to get rid of it and you're going to recycle. It's the spiritual healing and the emotional healing that you're going to take with you, not the old baggage of the body. So I talk about the three healings: the body, the mind, and the spirit. Most important, the spirit. Any disease you have mentally or physically is always a spiritual disease. There's always the source. Mm-hmm. Anyway, that's kind of what I roll on when I do these things, and I do actual hands-on and charge people at the end. And then I show people a way to use love and forgiveness. And when I lived in Hawaii, I studied under a kahuna priest, David K. Bray, who was friends of President Eisenhower and Otto Preminger and John Wayne and all these people. I mean, he was like the real deal. I mean, he was the big guy, and I was his only official apprentice. And I was 18 years old, and he was 60 some years old. So, and he was trying to tell me stuff about, you want to heal people, you got to love you first. And I go, what is this? I was an 18-year-old surfer. I'm going, yeah, okay, I'll chalk that up. No, you got, he goes through all that stuff. Now wasn't known in the early 60s. Mm-hmm. Now it's all over the place. Everybody's teaching the Hawaiian healing. Truth of the matter is, self-love is the basis of all healing. It's also the lack of it is the basis of all disease. So you can see how over 3 hours, I kind of take that theme and I move these people down a certain point, and depending on the group, and how I work it. When I feel the energy's right, then we do the hands-on. But I'm teaching people you can heal yourself. And there's no question about that. Healing others, it takes a little bit of wisdom involved too, because sometimes you're always dealing with other people's karma. So if you Jesus didn't walk into a hospital and cure everybody there. Not in his lifetime, ever. Right? So you got to really be careful when you go out and try to, heal everybody. People are working off karma. You take away the disease in the body, now how are they going to get rid of that karma? So if it's your job to be a healing, profession, whole different story. So if the inner voice says go do it, do it.
Yeah. That's such an important point too, because so many people are like, well, why aren't they healing? Like, we have no idea what their rodeo has been several times before. So if you surrender to, if it's for their highest good, let me be the hose, let me be the conduit, let me be the pipe of this information. It's just, if it's for their highest good, I think that's so important. So thank you.
So with me teaching this as self-healing, people get it. You want to be healed, you'll be healed. If you believe you can, you can. So it's up to you. I lay the whole karmic burden on the person. It's your choice.
Right.
It's your choice. Just don't blame, don't credit me, because too many people try to credit me. Oh, Reverend Bill, he cured my cancer. He cured this, I haven't had any more seizures. No, it's your belief in what I was doing. But it was yours. It started within you. You are your own healer. So that's what we're going to do. And then, of course, on Saturday, when I get yes, I'm going to take 1,000 questions and I'll talk about manifesting and whatever they want to roll on. But
nice.
I'm ready to break that new energy there for you. So I'm bringing something different to this. It's a different flavor to the soup.
We knew you were supposed to be part of the ingredients in the soup, Bill. That's why you're coming.
That's right. Exactly.
All right. Well, I appreciate you young ladies coming, spend your time with this old guy.
Oh my goodness.
We appreciate you.
And we're going to ask people to come check it out. And if you can't come this year, great. Then we'll expect you to be there next year. I mean, that's an order. And I'm looking forward to being there. I'm looking forward to meeting all the presenters. We haven't even talked about all of them, but if they go on there and look online, you got some beautiful people coming. I'm still interviewing people. So if they watch your Facebook page on this, they'll eventually be able to see the interviews with these people.
Yep. And we have an All Souls Facebook group where people can go and click to learn more about the conference. You can also go to jenweigel.com or amyokeeffe.com and click there on our All Souls page to register. Is that where people should visit for you, Jen?
Oh, absolutely. Yeah.
Okay.
I mean, just absolutely. We'll have it. It's on the homepage for me, and it's yours as well. So they can find us. If not, just email us. We're all very accessible, you know.
All right. If you each want to give me a parting shot as you leave here, a little pearl of wisdom you want to share.
Oh, I'm just so excited that the universe works in mysterious ways. And it was Stephanie Arnold that connected me to you. And then we had the conversation. And then the next thing you know, the three of us are having a conversation. And it's just it's a tether that just keeps going out because the intention is to heal. The universe sees that, they plug and play. So I hope that people go this year, not next year, because choosing thyself will help you open up to the healing possibilities within all of us, right? That's right. Just excited to be with this team. So thank you so much, Bill, for having us.
That's right.
And Amy's going to say, me too on that, right?
Yeah. Exactly. Yes. And I think, the theme of our conversation was about intention, and you put an intention out there. And to me, it's just a miracle of what you'll get in return. And when you invest in yourself and when you believe that you're important enough to make the investment in your spirituality, your spiritual growth, it will come back to you, 100-fold.
Yay.
Thank you both ladies. I will see you there soon.
Fantastic. You'll be here before we know it.
Your day. Thank you, Bill.